everyone. We are live with Lance Panigutti at Interlocken cyclocross race. Right behind us. How you doing today, Lance?
I'm good. It's been a perfect fall day.
Yeah, you said it was pretty chilly this morning, huh?
It was. We were out here at 4 in the morning, and I think it was like 50 degrees, and then by the time the first race started, it dropped to about 41 degrees.
I just love this venue with all the trees. It feels like fall. How's this series going for you this year?
So far, so good. We've made a lot of big changes this year. One to the start procedure, which I'm sure you're going to ask about. But overall, this is race number 2. Numbers have ticked back up. We were a little over 500 participants at Harlow Platz. And that was a venue that we hadn't raced since 2019, which seems crazy.
Yeah. We were talking a little earlier. You said you feel like there's a lot of new people trying cyclocross this year.
There are. We marketed a lot to our triathletes, and I finally feel like the pandemic has subsided to a point where people are willing to kind of venture out and try new things and have at least had time to hear what cyclocross is all about.
This course, to me, would be a good beginner course. Do you think that's right?
Any grass course is a good beginner course. So Harlow Platz, Interlocken, Broomfield are all grass courses. We typically put those earlier in the season too because we have to be sensitive to park needs and damage. So any course that's a snow course, all-weather course, typically pushed to November and December.
So let's talk about cyclocross for a second. When you design a course, walk me through what goes in your thinking process of obstacles, distance, curves, corners, bridges. How do you meld it with the environment you're working with?
I'll give the Cliff Note version. So my course designer, Glenn Craddy, he's kind of the maestro or the wizard behind the scenes. So in terms of designing a course, you kind of start with your start and finish area, and then you build out from that. And you try to build features in various parts of the park with utilizing the terrain, but you don't always want to maximize and utilize every area of the park. You kind of have a set distance in mind, and it's really about the flow. We always tend with our series to be on the shorter side for a course because we like more laps. That way, if you do have family and friends that come out, they see you more, and you get used to a feature more that you've been dialing in.
Like, for how long is this course?
This course is 3K, so just under 1.8 miles.
Is that typical?
Typically, you're about 2 miles. 2.1 would be kind of your standard length. On the short side, our shortest course is this one. Louisville is a little bit on the shorter side, the Bowl of Death, and also Broomfield coming up in a few weeks. That's our Halloween race. That's on the shorter side as well.
So what would you say is the signature feature of this race?
Definitely Carnage Corner. So if you pan over to the steep hillside down there.
Slow here.
Yep. You can't see it, but there's definitely a lot of people when it was wet this morning.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Riding it, running it, sliding in. We had one rider slide into a photographer, and the drainage ditch is right on the bottom.
I mean, that's what's cool about cyclocross, right? I mean, weather and all of that. You know, I've seen videos over the years of pictures in Europe or here. It just begs spectatorship.
Everything goes. I mean, we always call it Mario Kart on bikes, and we use that analogy so much because it's so true. Every race that has a signature feature, whether it's the stairs at Westminster, the sand at Harlow Platz, the staircase at Valmont Bike Park, every race has something that really screams, come watch the carnage, so to speak, at that feature.
Yeah. So you've been doing cyclocross races for how long? How long have you been producing them?
We started, 2009 was our first year.
Okay.
So the Shimano GRX series is an evolution of the Boulder Cyclocross series. That was started all the way back in 99.
Okay. And I know you well enough. You can't just sit still. You always want to make improvements, changes, make it more interesting, whatever. You've made some pretty big changes this year. Talk about that.
The biggest change we made was when I started racing, back when it was the Boulder Cyclocross series, we had about half the amount of categories that we have now. So I'd line up in a Cat 3 field or an open field. You'd have 50 to 80 riders starting at one time. It was a little chaotic, but it was exciting. There was kind of a natural energy to the sport that screened Formula One racing. And then over the years, we kept adding more categories as the sport grew. And then we started 1 minute apart for those categories in a specific wave. As the sport participation started to decline pre-pandemic, it got a little bit stale. You had 20 riders, 10 riders starting every minute. So this year we said, you know what? Let's take advantage of chip timing, which we never had before 2017, and let's take advantage of the USA Cycling ranking. So we take a wave, and I'll take a wave of, say, Category 3 riders. We have Category 3, we got the men 40 plus Category 3, and we have the men 50 plus category 3. We group them all together based on their USAC ranking, and then we start with one whistle. So really you're racing the entire wave in addition to racing your specific category.
So it keeps it dynamic.
Completely dynamic, but you still get to be awarded in your podium based on your chip result.
Right. Okay.
So you're still racing your peers in your category, but you get to see where you stack up against all the Cat 3s.
So how does a new person do it? What happens when somebody comes with no ranking?
So new racers will start in the Cat 5 field, whether it's the age-rated 40-plus Cat 5 or just the single Cat 5 men or women field. They'll come in, they'll do so many races, and the Cat 5 race is typically a little bit smaller. Eventually, after 3 races, they'll get a ranking if they buy an annual license from USA Cycling, and then they can keep working their way up to that front row.
Do you have any men and women starting together?
We don't have any men and women's groups.
Okay.
We've tried it in the past. It's never really worked out. It wasn't the women that were the issue. The men were the ones that were just a little too aggressive, and it was like peanut butter and jelly.
Well, speaking of women, I guess, this year you have a new award, the Gwyn Inglis Cup. Talk about that a little bit.
Gwen, when we started racing in 2009, I think Gwen was at that first race. And I can't remember a race where she was at that she wasn't on the podium. She was such an integral part of the community, her and her husband, Mike. Sadly, as you know, she tragically passed away recently. So our way to really honor her with a living memorial was to create a cup that goes to the open women. That was the group she raced in the most. And it's a series-long competition. So at the end of 6 races, counting your best 4 races for the series, we'll award the top overall open women the new Inglis Cup. And we're hoping Mike will be there for this first year to present that cup to the winner.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So it's just for the women?
Just for the women.
Okay. And it's only the open category?
Only the open women.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep.
So how many people are doing the open?
Over the course of the 6 races, we'll probably have about 30 to 40 women that will compete in at least one race. I'd say we have about 5 to 10 in contention by the end of the race, a series for that cup.
So what other series awards are there?
We have one for the men. So we've had the Matt Chazot Cup. The Chazot Cup we've had since, I believe it was 2015. And that was another rider who was a huge part of the community and the series for so many years that tragically passed away. And his wife, who's we call her a super fan, she's come out and supported the series for years, said, I want a living memorial for my husband. What can we do? And we created that, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
So I've known you a long time now, and you are really passionate for the community, more than the racing, in my opinion, it seems like. Talk about how important the community of cyclists and triathletes are to you personally.
I mean, to me personally, it's the reason I have a company after COVID. I mean, throughout 2020, there were so many small businesses that were just devastated. And we were shockingly able to put on small, very structured, very heavy protocol races, but we were able to do it because the community was able to support it in a way that was safe, it was responsible, and it really showed it showed what racing meant to them. And it's hard for me to ever blur the distinction between work and my personal life.
Yeah, you did a lot to keep your business going in COVID. You did a lot for your employees to keep them engaged, and talk about the people that support you.
I mean, amazing doesn't begin to describe the level of support we got throughout those years, and even in the years after. I mean, I look at our staff, and they're such I call them the bad news bears of event production, because they all have full-time jobs, but they do cyclocross or triathlon. They work the races because they love it. And you see that come through in the level of detail and dedication they do to the work. I mean, I look at the course today, and we went to a professional staking crew the last couple of years, and it's really up the level of professionalism in our courses.
What does that mean? Talk about that. The professional staking crew. What do they do that's a little bit different or better than somebody else?
We always had a volunteer crew, and volunteers are amazing. They put their heart and soul into it. But when we started to pay a crew, and they were racers themselves, it's always one of our requirements. If you work for us, you have to be a racer. But there was just a level of consistency. And the fact that they're being paid, they take a little bit more attention and detail to where every stake goes, to how the tape looks, to how the course flows.
I mean, the course is a cyclocross course is really interesting to me, and but talk about like the impact it has on where it's at and how you mitigate damage or work with the cities, or it's more to it than I ever realized when we were talking just earlier.
Well, my course designer, Glenn Craddy, he'll get a good laugh watching this because he's good cop, I'm bad cop. He'll design a course, and then he'll show it to me, and I'll be like, nope, nope. Because I'm the one doing the walkthroughs. I meet with the Parks Department a couple weeks before every race. We look at irrigation. We look at any new trees that went in, any damaged areas, and then we do a walkthrough after. And over the years, we've come out to this park. We've aerated the grass. We've seeded. We've definitely had to pay some significant damage deposits to resod some areas. But in the end, it's a working relationship. It's about striking a balance between what's feasible for a good cyclocross race and what keeps the park attractive and healthy for the general public.
So you probably on one level want snowy, cold rain, but on the other level that just damages it more. So
we've had some snowy, epic years out here. People know it, but at the same time, again, it's about striking that balance.
Yeah. So what else do you have going on this year that you want to talk about with cyclocross? Anything we haven't covered?
No, those are the biggest things.
Okay, cool. Well, tell us how many more races you got?
Yeah, after this weekend, we got 4 more in the Shimano Series. And then we got state championship. It's taking place the first time ever at Valmont Bike Park.
Oh.
And that's on November 19th.
So we got the stairs to finish.
The stairs to finish.
Well, that'll be exciting. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not icy, right?
We'll see. Maybe that could be the one snowy epic year.
Right? Well, thanks for your time, Lance, and congratulations on a really great career and putting on great races, and I know everybody loves them.
Oh, thank you, Bill.
Here we are with Rob Donovan at the Interlocken cyclocross race. Rob, what do you love about this sport?
It's just, it's short. That's my wheelhouse, about 45 minutes or less, and it's very, very painful. And that's also my wheelhouse. I'm not much of a long endurance guy, so this is makes me happy.
What do you like about coaching this type of discipline?
I generally coach a lot of juniors, and I love coaching this discipline because you have to touch everything. It's skills, it's endurance, it's a little bit of everything. It's such a well-rounded, full-body sport that I really enjoy doing it myself, and I think that just transcends to my athletes.
Well, if you were new to this, what would you recommend to somebody?
Pick a dry day.
Pick a dry day, okay.
Said the Nancy part.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Rob.
Thanks.
Quick quote.
Yeah, Chris, what do you love about cyclocross racing?
It really is just being out here with the people. That's the best thing of all. Everybody's kind of happy and fun and silly, and then they throw down, and it's kind of the perfect mix of everything.
Perfect. How about you, sir? What do you love about cyclocross racing?
Well, it's the best people, like Chris said. It's the best people from the road, the mountain, and just out here having fun, riding bikes hard.
You ready for some mud?
I hope so.